friends, my name is Robin. So today I'll tell you that how you can create a network on Google Cloud. So let me tell you where you have to go. Once you scroll down on the top, from the top, you'll find VPC network here. So this is the place where you create the networks. Once you are inside the network, you will find that there are many default networks are there. So these are the networks which are created by default by the Google, and you can see that it is using CIDR IP ranges. It is /20, which means you can create 4096 virtual machine or allocate these IPs to any number of virtual machines in a network. And since if you are new to the Google, so every project is having resources, be it virtual machines, network, or anything. So a single project can have 5 networks. If you want to expand the networks, you have to connect with Google support. So these are the by default networks. And if you see the routes, you'll find the routes for these networks here. So you can see the default routes for these networks. It is 00 because this is the default network for this location. So I'll go back to the VPC network. This means that when you create virtual machines or create resources in these regions, so you can choose any region that you want. That while creating a virtual machine, if you want your virtual machines to be in US Central, you can make that. If you want in Europe West, you can make that. And these virtual machines, they talk to each other. Even though if they are in different regions like US or Europe, they still can talk to each other. So I'll show you what are the by default firewall rules that are there in Google. So these are 4 firewall rules: ICMP, internal, RTP, and SSH. So firstly, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete this default network and will create a new network. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to delete this VPC network. So the networks are deleted. I'll show you one thing. If I go and try to create a virtual machine, since I don't have any network because I have deleted this network, so if I go to Google Cloud and try to create a virtual machine, I'll keep everything as default. If you don't know how to create a virtual machine, there's a video. You can just go to my channel and click on how to create a virtual machine. If I create a virtual machine, you get the error, networking error, which means that there is no network because we have already deleted the network. So what we have to do is I'm going to create the new network. So you can see everything is been washed out. Routes are being shown, but once I refresh, everything is gone. So I'm going to create a new network. I'll give the name to the new network as my network. And the subnet that I will create will be, there are two options, whether you create the custom or automatic. In automatic, your network is going to be by default the one which we have deleted. So if any chance you are able to, like, I have deleted the network, but if I want to get back that thing normal, so I have to just click on the automatic. If you want to create your own customer network, you can do that, but I'm going with automatic. So you can see whatever we have deleted, it has come back. Now, which all firewalls rules we want to have? So it's all ICMP internal network. ICMP is that if you're having two virtual machines and you are pinging from one virtual machine to other, suppose one is in US and other is in Europe. So ICMP help to connect one virtual machine to the other over the network through external IPs and internal over the internal IPs. So I'm going to create the network. It's going to take few seconds. So the network is created. Now what we have to do, we have to create the firewall rules. But since we have already selected during the creation, these all firewall rules have been created. Now what we will do, we'll create virtual machines. Now remember what we are trying to do here. We'll create two virtual machines. One will be in US and one will be in Europe. And we'll try to ping each other. So I'll name this virtual machine as US. I'll keep everything as simple, and it will be micro because we are doing this for demo purpose. And I'm creating this virtual machine. So while this one is being created, I'll create one more. I'm going to name this as Europe. I'll select the region as Europe. This one is also zone C. So what is the difference between region and zones is that region is a geographical area, like suppose Europe, so you can see Belgium. So many places we are having in Europe. So these are all regions. And zones, we can say zones as that within that region there are 3 buildings where data centers are there. This is for redundancy purpose. So if I suppose that one building or any fire or anything happened, so your data will be safe because there are multiple zones are there. Here also we'll go with the medium or micro machine type, and I'm going to create this virtual machine. So US is already created. And Europe is also created. So these two virtual machines are created. So what we will do, so one more thing, that we have just seen everything as taken by things as by default. So the IDs or the IPs that you have got is ephemeral, external IPs, which means that if you shut down this virtual machine, you will the IP will be changed, and you can see that the IP that we are having here is 132.0.2. I'll show you that how we are getting these IDs. I'll open the network in other tab. So by the time that network is opening, okay, it's open. So you can see here that the network IP ranges for US, I have selected US Central one. Okay, so for US Central one is 10.128.0. So 0 is the network IP, 1 is the gateway, and since we are having only one machine, so it is going to be 10.128.0.2. Similarly, for Europe West one, it is 10.132.0.0/20, and this is the gateway. So the next is going to be 10.132.0.1.2. So it's 10.1, and these external IPs are ephemeral. You can go to the virtual machine and change them to the static IPs, but as you shut down it, so this IP is going to change. So make sure that if you want a static IP, change the IP in the network setting. So this is just the basic. So what I'll show you is, I'm going to open the SSH and I'll try to ping one virtual machine to the other. So I am right now, what I have opened the SSH windows, these SSH for Europe and US. So what I will do, I will try to ping US virtual machine from Europe. So what is the internal IP for this? It's this 128.0.2. So I am pinging from Europe, means I'm pinging from Europe to US. So I have to put this IP in the SSH of Europe. So this the IP of US virtual machine. Now I'll see this. So yes, it is working. There's one more thing that you can do. Instead of writing the IP, I can just write the name also, US, and it is also working. This is because Google has inbuilt DNS, so you can just write the name also. Now this is what about the internal IPs. Now I'll show you. I'll ping the external IPs. So this is the external IP of US. And yes, it's working. Now what we will do is, okay, instead of going here, means directly going from here to the network. I have already opened this network here, so I'll go to the firewall rules. So the firewall rule ICMP, it is responsible for your network between your external IPs. So since you know that these machines are, one is in Europe and one is in US, so if I remove this firewall rule, they won't be able to connect, means the network between them is lost. So I'll show. So if I'm now, I will try to ping US from I won't be able to do it. See, here I have pinged the US virtual machine. So this is the external. So this is the external IP and I'm pinging from Europe. So you can see that it will not work because we have removed the firewall rule. So you can see here the 3 packet transmitted and 100% packet loss. Similarly, if you delete this internal network, so internal traffic will also not flow. Like if we try to ping with the internal IP, it will not happen. So that is all from my side. If you like the video, please subscribe and share. Thank you very much.